What's going on in the Atlanta real estate market? What's going on with home values? Where are the best schools? Cleve has all the answers for you. Call Cleve Atlanta Real Estate Show on Talk Radio 640 WGST. Now, here's Cleve Gaddis.
You're listening to the Call Cleve Atlanta Real Estate Show on Talk Radio 640 WGST. If you need to reach us, Gaddis Partners Remax Center, you can call 770-497-0000, or you can go to GoGaddis.com. That's GOGADDIS.com. One more time, GOGADDIS.com. We are joined on the line by the managing partner of that law firm, Joe O'Kelly. Joe, welcome.
Thank you, Cleve. I appreciate it. Good morning.
Joe, you just got an ovation, a standing ovation from all of the fans that are inside of the control panel here in the in the sound room. I love it. Hey, Joe, we've got you on to talk a little bit about looking forward to 2016 and what buyers, sellers, tenants, and landlords should expect when it comes to the market. So let's talk, if you don't mind, first about interest rates. What are your expectations for interest rates in 2016?
I think that, they finally moved the Fed funds rate, so It's going to go up I don't actually think it'll go up much. It's gone over 4% recently. Yeah. And I think it's about what it's going to do. It may move a little bit more.
So you don't think it's going to hit the 4.5, 4.6, 4.7% that NAR and the Mortgage Bankers Association and all the people that predict interest rates, you think it's going to stay a little bit more favorable for buyers and borrowers this year?
I do. I think it'll go back under 4% for a little while. It might end the year near 4.5%, but it's going to take a long time to get there. It's not going to get there quickly.
And it's interesting
but
because
that's my opinion.
No, absolutely. Well, and listen, your opinion, my opinion, and a quarter will get you exactly what a quarter will buy you, right? I mean, it's exactly. It is the way it is. You're listening to the Call Cleve Atlanta Real Estate Show on Talk Radio 640 WGST. I'm joined on the line by Joe O'Kelly of O'Kelly and Sorahan. He is the managing partner of a law firm. I said 15 offices. I think you actually have 18 offices now, and they can be reached by calling 770-497-1880. 770-497-1880. We're talking about interest rates in 2016. Joe thinks interest rates will probably move somewhat north or higher during the year, but not nearly as high as all of the other experts are predicting. And Joe, it's the Fed funds rate does not necessarily dictate what happens in the mortgage market, because generally mortgage rates are based on a yield spread, or a spread between the yield on the 10-year Treasury bond and whatever the investors want for a return on their 15 or 30-year mortgage. So those two things are not always tied together.
That's right, and that's what I'm saying. I think that just because that moved, you're not going to see this jump in interest rates, even though I think there has been, something over 4%. And so I think the economists are saying it's going to go to 4.5%, and it might get there, but I just don't see it happen quickly. And
even if it did, Joe, I'm not trying to say you're old or anything, but even if it did, historically, is a 4% rate high or low?
Yeah, I remember buying my first house when it was like 7 or 8%, I think.
And what year was that? My first home purchase was in 1992, and the interest rate was 7.875%. The house cost $130,000, and my principal interest, tax, and insurance payment on the house was $1,300. Today, I could buy a house that's probably $200,000 and have the same payment.
I think mine was in 1990, similar everything to what you just said. So.
And Joe, I don't know about you, but when I left closing, I thought, man, if those people knew me any better, they wouldn't have loaned me $130,000.
I was thinking about that last night. I'm like, how did I do that?
How did I scam somebody into loaning me money on a house?
But I think that what made me think about that last night was, I thought we might talk about this. And is anybody getting held back from buying? And I think if you really want to buy, it sounds like what you and I both did, we figured out a way to do it. So
and back
I really
then,
think that's going to happen this year.
I do too. And back then, Joe, that really, you could put less than 20% down, but you really couldn't put much less than 10% down. And so it's a little bit different world today. And I believe that those who should be able to get a mortgage, who do the right things financially, to keep their financial house in order, they really don't have much of a problem getting a mortgage. We are going to talk a little bit later in the show about a buyer who's very frustrated with their lender because they keep getting asked for the same documentation over and over and over. But lenders are just trying to dot their I's and cross their T's. You're listening to the Call Cleve Atlanta Real Estate Show on Talk Radio 640 WGST. I'm joined on the line by my favorite closing attorney and a good friend, Joe O'Kelly. His firm is O'Kelly and Sorahan. They have either 15 or 18 offices. I don't know. How many do you have, Joe?
I really think it's about 17.
Have 17. Well, see, I was just getting I'm on the low side and the high side. 17 offices throughout Atlanta to take care of your real estate needs. 770-497-1880. 770-497-1880 is the number you can use to reach Joe or any of his 20 probably attorneys. Joe, they're saying that household formations will continue to march forward. They're projecting that there'll be 1.25 million new households formed in 2016. And just to give everybody a little bit of history, that number was probably closer to 300,000 to 400,000 in, for example, 2009, 10, and 11. And what that means, Joe, I think, and you tell me if you agree, is that people who are unfortunately having to live in their parents' basements or getting out on their own, or people who are having some financial difficulties and had to team up with other family members. Give me your thoughts on that.
I do think we'll be surprised there. I mean, that's probably, I've seen some forecasts, that's a good number. But we're going to have a lot of people that are just saying it's time to buy a house. The rates are going to move eventually, and I think this is the year that they're going to break out. Last year or two have been really good in the housing market. And so I think we'll have another good year, about the same, maybe 2 or 3% higher. So I think everybody's trying to grow up and get out there and get moving.
Absolutely. And Joe, you've done some developing over the years. And, when the market started to crash, I had bought one of the largest RE/MAX offices in the city of Atlanta, and you had probably twice your net worth tied up in real estate investments. And boy, when it started to go south, it went south, and the real estate market just shut down in the city of Atlanta, meaning nobody built anything for the most part for quite some time. So even though the things that happened that create additional households, and I'll let the listeners figure out exactly what sort of physical activity it is that causes additional population to come into the world and creates new households. That stuff keeps happening regardless of whether or not the market is good or bad. And some would say in terms of bad market, that actually happens more than in times of good market. So you get all the natural population increase, but you get no additional housing stock coming on the market, which is a big deal in the city of Atlanta. So I think we're going to continue to see a demand and supply imbalance, meaning we don't have as much supply as we do demand. And I think that will carry on for the next 2 or 3 years until the builders probably overheat the market, which is really typically what happens. What about rental?
All that's happening right now.
It is
clearly happening. It's been built up. It's starting to push through. Builders, I'm watching them. We have a lot of builder business, and they're going to be building a lot this year. I mean, builders are going to be out there. It's going to be good for 2 or 3 years.
Do you think that the builders are already in the process of building too many houses, or we're still not quite there yet?
Oh, I don't think they're building too many houses.
I
think there's a big demand out there.
Got it. Last
Builders
thing,
are trying to gear up and catch up.
They are, which is what they needed to do because really nothing was built significant for about 6 years. Let's talk about rental homes and rental prices. The vacancy rates in the single-family market are at near the lowest levels in 20 years, and rents probably rose 3.5%, 4% throughout the country last year. What do you expect to see in that market in 2016?
We do a lot of investor business as well, and they're still buying. And so I sort of assume that they know what they're doing here because they've slowed down the buying, but they're still buying. The market's still good, and they're saying that rents are still rising when I talk to them, some of them.
And these are entities that have rooms full of PhDs locked in a basement somewhere studying a market. I mean, these people know exactly what's going on. We appreciate you joining us, Joe. If you need to reach him, 770-497-1880. Joe is the managing member of O'Kelly and Sorahan. They're the full-service law firm handling real estate closings all throughout Metro Atlanta. Joe, we appreciate you joining in.
This is Call Cleve Atlanta Real Estate Show on Talk Radio 640 WGST.